strategies that you can use within an existing Start Here area. Also, I want to provide clarity and more information about what the Start Here area is and is not, and different best practices for implementation. I'd also like to add that as we prepare to transition to a new learning management system, having this required element already built in your course and having it complete will help prevent you from having to start from scratch once we start the transition. Having a Start Here area in your class is going to be the last thing you want to worry about when we make that transition over the next few semesters. So if you have any questions, again, please add them to the chat and they will be answered by our moderator, Rebecca Adderley, during the session. And then I'll take questions at the end. After our time today, it is my hope that you will be able to walk away being able to do the following: identify the basic elements and purpose of the Start Here area, understand why having a Start Here area is important for online teaching, and then I want you to be able, if you do not have a Start Here area, to be able to walk away with the knowledge to help you implement the Start Here area best practices in your online classroom. And we have some background noise, so if we can go ahead and make sure our microphones are muted. Oh, you don't see my screen?
Kenya, all we're seeing is the blue screen that still says Microsoft with the little iPad to the left with the directions on how to raise your hand and stuff.
Okay, and that was Kelly. I think others can see it. So you're able to see that. So I'm getting that some people are able to see the reflection side. Kelly, I don't know if you may log in and try to log out and log back in. Because the reflection slide, I'm seeing that the majority of and Dr. Moore is just seeing the welcome screen. I don't know what's going on here.
Can you all log out and log in and see if that helps? I'll ping you if it doesn't.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you all for that feedback. Okay, just really quick, I want you to kind of reflect on a few things as we begin our session. So the first thing is to think about a time when you visited a new place and you felt kind of lost and didn't know where to go. Think about how that made you feel, what kind of thoughts you may have had. And then also when you do that, think about a time that you may have started a new job or something, a new adventure in your life. And you didn't have any direction or guidance. And so as you think about those particular feelings, I want you to think about how students may feel when they come into an online classroom for the first time. And while we may think certain things may be intuitive, sometimes it's not. I'm dealing with a few first-time students at Connect, and it's interesting to see or hear the different questions that they ask that I, as an instructor, might think, oh, they should know that, but they really don't. And so my purpose with this session is to make sure that we kind of quell that with an appropriate Start Here area in the class. Okay, so let's get into some Start Here basics. We're going to talk about what it is and what it isn't. In a face-to-face course, instructors often spend the first part of class meeting and going over the syllabus and other class policies and introductions with students. The Start Here area in your online course can serve the same purpose. In short, it is a centralized area or location in your course where you can include the most important information that students need to know to get off to a good start in your class. The Start Here area also will allow you to emphasize important things for the course or expectations that you have for how students will interact with the content, with each other, and with you. The Start Here area also can be a chance for students to become acclimated with your course specifically via a course walkthrough or a virtual tour, giving you the chance to guide students in your course navigation. And the start here area is a great way to establish presence. And I will go over each of these in greater detail, starting with how the start here area helps online students get ready for a successful term in your class. The Start Here area provides a central location for all students to navigate to first in order to get started. Many of the students are either accessing an online course for the first time, or they are taking multiple online courses with different teaching styles and different course organization schemes and layouts. The Start Here area is a great go-to area for students to familiarize themselves with your course as well as the online environment. This is also a great way for instructors to include information that will answer those common questions that students may have about the class. This can serve as a reference place throughout the term as well. Maybe they have a question or they forgot where the syllabus was, or where to find a different, discussion guideline or information about course communication and etiquette. The Start Here area can serve as that reference point at any time in the class. Implementing the Start Here area can also reduce any confusion that students may have about the course regarding common issues, such as how to contact the instructor. The Start Here area is also a great tool to reduce any fear or anxiety that students may have. In May of 2020, Top Hat, an organization, conducted a survey to capture the voice of students to understand how the pandemic and campus closures affected current and returning students. While most of us have taught online prior to the pandemic, I think this survey is worth mentioning to capture some of the feelings that students may have had about taking courses online. The survey captured the thoughts of 3,089 college students across North America regarding their plans for the fall 2020 semester, the semester that we just closed. Students are continuously reevaluating their intentions to return to school and still may have negative views about online learning. There were many interesting findings in that survey. However, I want to focus on the feelings and the needs that the students had and that survey captured. 52% of the students in the study reported feeling anxious. 40% of the students felt concerned about finishing the fall semester, and 50% were concerned about finishing successfully with a passing grade. And many of those same students expressed unsure feelings about returning for the spring. The Start Here area can provide an extra boost of confidence, quelling any fears that they may have about successfully navigating and succeeding and starting in the online environment. The Start Here area can also provide additional emphasis on important information in your class. It's always a best practice to provide important information, such as your contact information in that first interaction that you have with your students. The communication expectations and resources in as many high-touch areas as possible for students. So while you may have your contact information and some of your course expectations in a syllabus, and we'll get to that here in a little bit, you also want to make sure that you include it in the Start Here, because they're going to be their first point of contact regarding your particular class. And so having that information in those key areas is definitely key, so students have that in more than one place. Of course, you wouldn't want to include it in ways that it isn't effective. So you may not want to have all of this Start Here information in your lesson where you cover microbiology, for example. But you want to make sure that you have it in places that students have access to better reinforce that information and cut down on any confusion and questions that they may have throughout the term. Through the term, you want them to focus on the content and ask questions about those, but not specific information about navigating or finding important information. Okay, so I have a favorite aunt, a great aunt actually, named Diane in Georgia, who I like to reference quite a bit when discussing making people feel welcome and prepared and ready. So if you've been to any presentations I've had in the past year, you may have heard me discuss my Aunt Diane. Whenever I visit her home in Georgia. She's always careful to make me feel welcome, all of her guests really. And a part of that welcome is providing a tour. After we get settled, she's always sure to give a tour of her home, even if you've been there before, just so she knows that you know where to find essential locations such as bathrooms, kitchens, pool supplies, etc. So what does this have to do with your Start Here area and your online course? While all the bells and whistles that make your class cool, such as your banner, a clear and concise course menu, while that all paints a pretty picture of a well-organized class, you want to take it a step further to make sure that your students feel welcome. The Start Here area is a great place to welcome students, providing them with key course navigation information to let them know where to find things such as your syllabus, your rubrics, assignments, and discussions. Also, it's a great time to explain each course menu link and what students can expect to find when accessing each item in your menu. It's a great way to address your course navigation and your virtual course Aunt Diane tour. The Start Here area is also a great way to establish presence. Instructor presence contributes to a sense of community as well as student learning. Presence also helps you introduce yourself in a relatable and tangible way, establishing rapport with your students. Students need to know that you are a real person and that there is a human element to their online course. And the Start Here area is a great way to ensure they know who you are as well as how to reach you and to know your personality. If we have any questions so far, just make sure you include those in the chat window. I'd like to end the Start Here Basics session discussing what a Start Here area is not. Many times instructors may ask how a Start Here area is different than a course syllabus or even the announcements area. Some may argue that many of the elements in the Start Here area can be addressed in other areas of the class. While this may be true in some or many ways, the Start Here area stands out in the sense that it is a one-stop shop for where to go and how to start for your students, hence the name Start Here. Instead of students having to go to multiple places to find different information or how to begin or what to do first, the Start Here area meets that purpose in a designated central location, and that is the key thing to remember. While instructors can create announcements to address some of the information and some welcome information, and it is recommended that they do send a welcome announcement, they can also serve as other purposes to provide different information throughout the term. The course syllabus is more of an administrative document, serving kind of as a contract of the sorts between the instructor and the student regarding key course expectations and policies. The Start Here area just says, this is the class, this is who I am, this is what you can expect. Here's a link to the syllabus, here's a link to different areas in the course, and this is what you need to do next. Now that we've covered basics of what a Start Here area sets out to accomplish, we're now going to discuss the importance of the Start Here area and what that means for you as a faculty member at TCC Connect campus. One of the reasons the Start Here area is important and key is because it helps our faculty and our courses align their classes with the Quality Matters rubric. If you're unfamiliar with what Quality Matters is, Quality Matters Higher Education rubric is a set of standards used to evaluate the design of online and blended classes. The rubric serves as a guide for TCC Connect campus to ensure that our classes are in alignment with nationally recognized best practices and standards for online teaching and learning. There are 8 general standards covered in the Quality Matters rubric, the first being the course overview and the introduction. The substandards listed in this particular section of the rubric include having clear instructions on how to get started and where to find course components, Learners are introduced to the purpose and the structure of the class. Course and institutional policies to which the learner is expected to comply with are stated in the class, or a link to current policies is provided. Computer and digital information literacy skills expected of the learner are clearly stated. And a self-introduction by the instructor is professional and available online. And then learners are asked to introduce themselves. So I wanted to point this out to make sure that you're aware that the Start Here area is a great place for a lot of this information to be housed, or it's also a great place to link some of that information, because with the Start Here, you want to be sure that you're able to be clear and concise and not overwhelm them, but it should be a place that has or links to most of this content. Okay. Also, having an area that outlines how students should get started is also a requirement for TCC Connect Campus online courses. Not only is it a best practice, but because many of our practices and operations follow or align with quality matters, such as the e-faculty coaching process, it is important for faculty to include this in their classes. Many coaches collect data, which is distributed to the department chairs and deans regarding different elements in the online courses and performance in regarding to those elements, such as communication, feedback, and of course, an area with specific instructions of how to get started online. While we are doing a great job as a campus overall, we still have a few gaps in this area that we hope to close within this academic year, especially as we are considering the learning management system transfer. Going back to quality matters, the Start Here area also provides consistency in our courses in alignment with our peer developed classes. Not all of our classes that we are offering right now are peer developed, but that doesn't mean that our non-peer developed courses can't maintain the same standards and consistencies as those that are peer developed. All peer developed courses have a designated Start Here area. And if you want to make sure that you're in alignment with QM and our campus requirements, it is important that you implement one if you are not teaching from a peer developed course. Okay, everybody good? Okay, so we have covered Start Here area basics and key important factors to remember as it relates to TCC Connect campus processes. So now we're going to wrap up the session with the content with a few best practices. First, we'll start with the welcome message. So having a welcome message to your students in the Start Here area can set the tone for the class. And there are a variety of approaches that you can take to constructing this particular message or statement. For example, you could create a welcome that also includes your self-introduction, or you could just post a short welcome and then place your self-introduction somewhere else in the class. But preferably in the Start Here area. Whatever you choose to do, the main goal is to communicate a tone that will help set the climate for the class and information on how you prefer to be contacted. Keep in mind that communicating online is quite different from face-to-face. Different facial expressions and tone of voice that we often depend upon in our face-to-face interactions are absent here. So creating a friendly tone in your welcome can help relieve student anxieties and start the course off well. For your contact information, you want to consider how you prefer students to get in touch with you. Is this via TCC email? Is it via Microsoft Teams? Is it phone? Is it a mixture of all of them? This is great information to include here. Also, many instructors will create an FAQ or a general question and answer area in their class where students can access pre-answered questions related to the class or ask general questions as it relates to your class. If you do this in your course, then the welcome statement at the beginning of your class is a great place to tell students about that particular form or guide and how to use it. You will also want to provide general information about the course that students are taking, even though they may be aware, and what they can expect at completion. This is a great place to add your course description, to reinforce the course name and information, and to provide general outcomes for the class. The District Master Syllabus is a great resource for you to find that information to include that in your Start Here area. Even though most of the times that it is expected that students are to review the course syllabus and the instructor requirements, sometimes that may not always be as intuitive for students. So it's a great idea to provide information and reinforce the importance of your syllabus and schedule. Providing students with directions to access your syllabus, as well as what information they can expect from the syllabus, is a great best practice for the Start Here area. You can even provide a link to that syllabus and schedule in this area if you choose, and that's probably a great idea, or at least letting them know where to access it. Now I want to talk about the welcome video for a bit. All online courses taught at TCC Connect Campus should have a welcome video. It may be a great idea to place that welcome video in your Start Here area. That's kind of one of the best places to have it. A quality introduction video shows preparation, and it also provides a good first impression for your students. That introduction video can help with that human element in the online experience for all of your students, but especially for the more hesitant and new users. You can help students realize that their instructor is a real person who is excited about the class and the term. When you establish a social presence with videos, you also build a rapport with students and foster a sense of community. Whenever I do this, students are always appreciative of this particular element in the class because it lets them know, hey, I'm a person and I care about you and your success. This can kind of help replicate that face-to-face interaction in the traditional classroom and make that barrier that exists online a bit smaller. You can ignite excitement about your course and explain how relevant the content is to them and their future goals. And you can also give students a taste of your personality and dispel any fears that they may have about the online environment. The welcome video is also a great place for you to provide a short tour or a walkthrough of your course. And you can do that in your welcome video, or you can create a separate video for that, but the Start Here area is a great place for both. In your video, you don't want to overload students with too much information. Therefore, it's important to remain short and concise. You want to try to make your videos no longer than 3 to 5 minutes. Don't be afraid to show your personality. You can include a section in your video with photos or clips of your life and let them know who you are, what your hobbies are, and what you like to do in your free time. You also want to make sure in your video to include your expectations, any special requirements you have in your course related to software or something else that students may uniquely experience in your classroom. You also want to reinforce your availability and communication expectations. In this video, you'll also want to let students know what your expected response time for emails and other written communication as well, and when you will provide feedback for grades after a deadline. And yes, absolutely. Thank you, Rebecca, for answering that question. I do want to add in regards to if the video, if it's freestyle, do you need to include a text transcript? You absolutely will. You can develop one yourself. And then you can upload that, like say you upload the video to YouTube or another source, you can input that text script into the captions. Also, we have an account, an institutional license with Microsoft Streams. And usually when you upload an account to Microsoft Streams, you will be able to, Streams usually generates captions for you, and I think you can go in and edit them where they may be a little bit inaccurate, but Streams is a very good tool to upload videos because the captions are auto-generated, and then you can go in and change them at a later time and then share that video with students. All righty. Okay, that concludes the welcome video, which you will include in your Start Here area. Next, I want to talk about communication and etiquette. So as many of us know, communication in the online environment is much different than face-to-face. So the Start Here area of your course is a good place to establish some ground rules and expectations for how students interact with each other, as well as yourself. There are many general resources on Netiquette available online. And I will include one in the chat shortly, so you all have that, if it allows me to. And it is called the Core Rules of Netiquette. However, you can always add additional criterion or craft your own guidelines for your particular class. The main goal here is to provide students with upfront information on what behaviors are expected or prohibited and what will happen if those particular guidelines are not followed. The Start Here area is also a great space to provide guidance in handling technical related issues. Technology affords us to reach a unique set of students from anywhere, like the comforts of our home, especially now. However, it doesn't come without occasional inconvenience and frustration that can arise when that technology breaks down or does not perform as expected. Let students know where they can go for help, such as our 24/7 help desk or any other resources. Students will also need to know what type of hardware and software they may need for your class. And if you have a technical resources area, you can link that within the Start Here or tell students where to find that. You may want to add information on the types of technical skills that students will need for your class. Don't assume that students know automatically how to use computers for research and learning. For example, they may need to know how to download Word or PDF documents, learn how to edit them, and then re-upload them for your class. You also may use a special software for your course that students need to be familiar with and use at a certain level. So think carefully about what you'll have students do in your class and provide those expectations in this section. This allows students to identify if there's a technical area in which they need assistance before it becomes a problem later in your class. Lastly, providing information about institutional resources available is also helpful and can be a great resource to include in the Start Here area. This can be library support, student accessibility resources, financial aid, and advising. And again, if you have this area already built in your class, you can also link that or provide a link to it in your Start Here area. You just want to ensure that students have all of the information that they need to succeed in one central location. Again, central is the key. Lastly, you want to be able to point students and make sure that you're able to point students to their next steps. So after they reviewed all of this wonderful information, okay, where do I go and what am I expected to do? This may not always, again, be as intuitive or straightforward as you think, which is why the Start Here area is crucial in providing that particular direction. At this point, many instructors will guide students to review the syllabus and calendar for the course. Some instructors have an introduction or orientation lesson in their class, and this is a great opportunity to guide students to that first particular lesson. Otherwise, instructors may direct students to the first lesson or module in their course to get started with the course content, okay? So in conclusion, that wraps up the best practices for the Start Here area. It has a lot of information to cover, but it doesn't have to be too lengthy. Clear and concise is definitely the name of the game. So I want you to keep that I need you to keep that at the forefront of your mind. I'm sorry. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I can share my screen to one of our peer developed courses to what a Start Here area may look like in our current LMS system. And then we'll open up for any questions that you may have. But if you have questions now, please feel free to ask in the chat. Hopefully you all are able to see my screen. So this is one of our peer developed classes, and here is the Start Here area. And so in this class, the student's name is auto-generated. Based on their Blackboard username. There's a welcome to the class, an overview of the class, the course objectives and expectations, and then just telling students to take a few minutes to get familiar with the course and the site by reading the syllabus, accessing the lessons, exploring information in each link, noting the contact information. Here's a link to institutional policies, the help desk, where to access any help, and then what to do when they complete the lessons, and then the link to the Netiquette expectations. Here's the instructor contact information, and then a short welcome and how students can expect to communicate with me as their instructor and with each other. And then here's that welcome video. I do want to mention that the instructional design team at TCC Connect Campus can definitely assist you in creating a creative video for your class, or you can do one yourself. It is up to you, just as long as it has those key elements listed. And then here is a link to communicating in the online course. So that goes over that netiquette piece and communication expectations, instructions for proctorio, and then a link to the general question and answer forum. So again, it can be simple, doesn't have to be long and drawn out, just as long as it includes that information. How do you generate the students' names? That is a great question. What I will do is I will copy the code really quickly as we take questions, any other questions we have, but let me do that here shortly. So copy and paste this before it goes. Let me see. It's just a short code that you put in the learning management system. So I'll give you time to get that, and then we can open up the floor for questions now. Rebecca, did we have any other questions in the chat that weren't answered?
Nope, so far we have all the questions answered.
Perfect, thank you so much. Thank you, Melanie. So do we have any other questions about the session, the Start Here area in the session? I do want to mention that I believe at 11, I will be doing if you're in business and management, I'm going to be doing a idea lab, and we're going to just kind of go back and forth and have an informal discussion about different things, and the Start Here area is one. So if you have any best practices, that you'd like to share there, or have any questions, more particular questions, I can cover that in that session for those who are in business management and computer science. Okay. And if you have any questions, especially in your particular discipline, and you're wanting to see different examples of what a Start Here area looks like, please don't hesitate to reach out to your particular department chair, and I'm sure they will be glad to share that with you, especially if you're not teaching a peer developed course. If you have any questions, you can definitely feel free to email me as well at kenya.wilson@tccd.edu. Before you all leave and take off, I want to make sure that you fill out the attendance link because it seems like we don't have any more questions. If you think of something, please feel free to contact us. I'm going to paste the attendance link in the chat. Please click that link and let us know that you were here and let us know what you thought. I'm thankful for you all for attending. I'm glad you were able to walk away learning something. Anita, are you asking? I'm looking at your comment. Are you still here, Anita Hope? Are you asking for different examples? Okay, so I have a few of my classes. What do you teach? Because again, that may be something that you reach out to your particular chair, especially for different examples in your discipline, but it can look a bit different. Okay, you want to look at a non-peer developed start here. I can pull that up really quickly. This attendance link is in the chat. If you should be able to see it. If you're not able to see the attendance link in the chat, you can scroll up because I posted it. Just make sure, I'm sure if you email me, that's fine. I can send it to you to make sure you fill it out. But it is in the chat. I'll post it again. Thank you all. All right, let me share my screen one more time. So, okay, here is a area in one of my other classes that I teach. Really has the same, it may not be the same structure, which I am working on making them all consistent with the peer developed class, but it has the same information. So it has the class, the course overview, and the outcomes, my contact information, my welcome video, and then in this class, I break the welcome video and the walkthrough up. So I have two different videos for that. So my course walkthrough video navigation is here. Discussion board and communication guidelines are here. Proctoral instructions, a link to the first lesson is also here, and then a link to my general question answer form that students can access in order to ask general questions about the class. You're very welcome. And we have about a few more minutes, 20 more minutes, so I'll hang out if you all have any more questions or content. Make sure you walk away, go forth and do great things in your start here area in your class, making sure that we meet that particular requirement this spring. Thank you, Angela and Robert. Hopefully I'll see some of you in the Idea Lab today. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Tim, I hope everything is well. The recording will be made accessible. I'm not exactly sure when and how that will be distributed, but once we are finished, we definitely will, this will be accessible for you, Professor Sylvester. Thank you. You're very welcome. Thank you. Oh my goodness, Tim, that happened to us last night. It didn't stay out, but I don't know. It was our whole neighborhood. It went out, the lights flickered, and then it came back on. Thank God, because it's too cold. Any questions? Comments? We still have a few people here. Any best practices to share? I definitely remember that August heat.